Hello my loves, Toni here from TL Yarn Crafts and welcome to another fun and free crochet tutorial. Today I am so pleased to share my Gloria Tote Bag. When you've got a busy day of errands ahead of you, the last thing you need to worry about is if your bag can keep up. The Gloria Tote Bag is roomy, flexible, and ready for wherever the day takes you. In this tutorial, I'll walk you through this eye-catching colorwork stitch pattern, crocheting in the round, and reinforcing your handles. And if you're new to crochet, don't worry your pretty head about it. This entire project is 100% beginner friendly. To follow along, grab the free pattern from my blog or the printable PDF version from my shop. Links to both of those resources are down in the description. This project is part of Crochet Academy, which is my free Learn to Crochet program that has graduated over 40,000 makers. We're celebrating 5 amazing years of the program, and you can find all of the past lessons as well as some limited edition merch over in my shop. Links to those also down in the description. Before we dive in, pretty please do me a little favor, hit that like button and then mosey on over to the subscribe. I am dangerously close to 1 million subs and I can't get there without you. Reaching that milestone means I'll be able to share the joy of crochet with even more people, and I would love for you to be part of that journey. Please join the TLYC family and let's keep stitching together. Now with all that business out of the way, let's talk materials. So here are the materials that we're gonna need for our Gloria Tote Bag, and I just have to say this is such a cheerful collection of supplies. I can't wait to share these with you. So first and foremost, we're gonna need some yarn, and today I am working with Lion Brand Remake, which is a 100% recycled polyester yarn. Now, when it comes to polyester, it can really feel like lots of different things. And this one has a nice fuzzy texture to it. It's kind of like got this teddy bear feel to it. It's incredibly soft, has a little bit of a halo, and we've got a nice twist on the yarn so we don't have to worry about that splitting on us, which is very, very nice. Now you get lots of yarn in here, and you're gonna need 2 skeins of whatever is going to be your main color. So that's the brown that's used here at the top and the bottom, and also throughout the project. So you'll need 2 skeins of that. And then whatever your accent colors are gonna be, in my case, it was this blue and this cream, you're gonna need 1 ball each of those. So 2 skeins of your main color, 1 ball each of both of your accents. In addition to the yarn, we are going to need a 5mm crochet hook. We'll be using that throughout the project. We're going to need a tape measure, as well as a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle. I just have like a little metal one here, and we're going to need some locking stitch markers. I also included steam blocking supplies, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the video. Now, if you're ready, I'm ready, and let's start stitching. Let's get down to it. I've got my first color, so my main color, in this case, it's this pretty brown. And then of course I have my 5mm crochet hook. So I'm going to make a slip knot, leaving a tail that's long enough to weave in later. To make the full size bag, you're going to start with 41 chains. I'm going to be making just a smaller sample for this tutorial, so I'm going to start off with 25. Now again, you'll want to start off with 41. I'm going to do 25. My sample is going to be a little bit smaller than yours, but all the concepts are the same, okay? So when you're making your chains, we'll yarn over and pull through the loop. Make sure you're applying a bit of tension to this tail here. That's what's going to help make your chains nice and even. And you'll notice as I continue making my chains, I'm lifting my hand up and applying tension close to the base of the hook. Just like that. So go ahead and make your 41 chains. Join me back here and we'll build off those chains. Pulled you in a little bit closer just to make sure we are on the same track. So as you can see, I've got all of my lovely chains. Now to work into these chains, we're not actually going to use the V's on the front here. Instead, if we rotate the chain towards us, we can see there's actually a channel of back bumps. So if I grab my tapestry needle here, I've got little bumps on the back of my chain that I can see. And we're gonna work into those back bumps instead of the V's on the front of our chain, just to leave those V's open, because we'll actually end up working around the bit of fabric that we make here at the bottom of our work. So we're actually going to single crochet starting in the 2nd chain from the hook. So again, I'm looking at the back of my work. This first loop here on my hook does not count as a stitch. I can see that my first back bump is right here, right under my thumb, which means my second back bump is right here. So I'm going to insert just under that back bump, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over and pull through 2 to complete my single crochet. And then I'll find my next bump, complete a single crochet. Next bump is here, complete a single crochet. If you cannot find the bumps, you can absolutely work in the V's in the front. It's not going to break anything or hurt anything. This just gives us a cleaner finish. So we're going to work all the way down the chain, and by the time you're done, you should have 40 single crochets. I'll have slightly less, but once we get down there, I'll show you how to count them. So keep working down your chain, placing 1 single crochet in each chain all the way down the line. And I'm getting towards the end here, just a couple stitches left. If I pull my loop up and out, this is what my work looks like. A nice clean row of single crochet stitches. So I like to count my stitches, finding the V's at the top of my work. You'll notice with this, it's a little tricky to see the posts of your stitches. So I would count from the top. Now I should have 24 single crochets, but you should have 40. So I'm going to give mine a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I have all of my stitches. Give yours a count and make sure you have yours as well. Now from here, we're going to work until we have 12 total rows of single crochet stitches. So right now we have 1. To make our rows, we're going to chain 1, which does not count out as a stitch, turn our work, and then starting with that stitch here at the base of our chain, we're going to place a single crochet. You can also look at the top and see that I've got my little set of V's right up here. So I'll work my single crochet stitch. There's 1. Find my next stitch right here for 2, 3, 4, and so on. So we're going to continue to maintain our stitch count. You should again have 40. I have 24, and we're going to work until we have 12 total rows. So I'm currently on row 2. Just continue in this way, starting your rows with a chain 1 and turn until you have 12 total rows. Let's finish this row together and start the next one. Nearly at the end of this row here, I have 1 more stitch, making sure I'm catching both loops of that stitch. Pull up the loop, yarn over and pull through both. So that is row 2 complete. I can chain 1, turn my work, and single in this stitch right here at the base of the chain. So right here on the edge of my work, making sure I get under both loops of that stitch to complete my single crochet. So this is row 3. Again, we're going to work until we have 12 total rows. Okay, so join me back here when you're done, and we're going to continue through to the body of our bag. Alrighty, so I have my base stitches done. Now again, yours is going to look a little bit different than mine, just a little bit bigger, but this is the size that I'm making for this sample. Now, the next thing we're going to do is place a border around these base stitches, and that border is going to serve as the base that we build our body rows off of. And here's how that goes. First things first, we need to chain 1, and we're going to rotate to work along these row ends here. Now I only have 6 row ends. You obviously are going to have 12, and you want to place a single crochet in each. So my first row end is right here. So that last row of stitches that I made. So I'm going to go directly into that stitch and place a single crochet. So there's 1 into the next row, for 2 into the next row, for 3 into the next row, for 4 into the next row, for 5, and into my last row for 6. You'll complete that until you have 12 total stitches on this side. Now at this point, I'm going to chain 1 and rotate to work along the bottom of this panel. And I'm going to place a single crochet in each stitch. For you, you're going to end up with 39 stitches along the bottom here. So I'm going to go ahead and place my stitches. And there we go. So now that we have our stitches along the base, we need to chain 1, rotate to work along these row ends. And again, we want to end up with 1 stitch in each row end, which for you will be 12. And finally, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work, single crochet in each stitch along the top here, which for you will be 39. There we go. So now I've worked all of my stitches around, and I think now is a good time to go back and count your stitches, because you'll need this count to be accurate to ensure that your stitch pattern lines up properly. If you count through, you should have 102 stitches. So you should have 12 stitches along each of your sides and 39 stitches along your top and bottom. If you don't have that correct amount, I would recommend pulling out this border, going back and correcting that before you move on. Okie dokie, I went back and counted my stitches and I am right on track. So the last thing that we'll need to do to close out this round is chain 1, so yarn over, pull through 1, and then slip stitch in the first single crochet of the round. So here's that stitch right here. I can see the 2 loops there on the top. I'm going to insert my hook under both of those loops, yarn over, pull through the stitch and through the loop that's on your hook. Fabulous. So we're all done with the base. Let's move right into the body. To start the body, round 1, we're going to continue with our base color, chain 2, which does not count as a stitch throughout the entire pattern. And now we need to double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So we're going to start with this stitch here right at the base of our chain. So the same stitch that we joined in, we'll place a double crochet, 1 there, a double crochet in the following stitch, there's 2, and a double crochet in the stitch after that is 3. Wonderful. Now we need to chain 3. So here's 1, 2, 3, keeping those chains relatively loose. And we're going to skip the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3. And we're going to repeat that around. So double crochet 3, chain 3, skip 3. Alrighty, so there's our chain 3. Here's our 3 to skip. So now we jump into our next stitch here. So 1 in this stitch, there's 1, 1 in the following stitch, there's 2, and 1 in the stitch after that for 3. We're going to follow that with a chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip 3, 1, 2, 3. Jumping back into the repeat, double in the next stitch, the one after that, and the one after that. So that's double crochet 3, 3 individual stitches, chain 3, skip 3, 1, 2, 3. Double crochet in the next stitch, in the one after that, and the one after that, chain 3, skip 3, 1, 2, 3. And we're going to repeat this all the way around. So keep going around your entire base. And join me at the end of the round. We'll finish it up and change color and continue on with our stitch pattern. Okie dokie, I am finishing up my round here. I've got my 3 doubles, my chain 3, and now here at the end of the round, I have my 1, 2, 3 that I'm going to skip, and I'm ready to join. So now I'm going to find the top of my first double crochet. Remember that that starting chain 2 does not count as a stitch. So I'm going directly into this double crochet, and still with my brown, I'm going to insert yarn over and pull through for a slip stitch. And now I'm going to drop my brown, and I'm set up with my next color, which in my case is this lovely cream. I'm going to leave a nice long tail and chain 2 with my cream color. And now I'm going to turn my work. Please don't forget this step. We're going to turn at the end of each of these rounds. So now I'm going to jump back into my stitch pattern, 3 double crochets, and I'm working around this chain 3 space. So first I'm going to find the single crochet stitches that I'm working into. Here's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so when I go around these, it's very important that I keep my double crochets loose or they're not going to be tall enough. Okay, so before I was working with my yarn wrapped around my finger twice. The way I like to soften my tension is I'm now just going to wrap the yarn around my finger once. That works for me. You do what works for you. So again, 1, 2, 3 singles down here. I'm going to start in the first one, pull up a nice tall loop. When I go in for my double crochet, yarn over, pull through 2 and 2 again. Find the next stitch, working around the chain space. There's 2. In the last stitch, working around the chain space, pulling up a nice tall loop for 3. Now I'm going to chain 3, and I'm going to skip these 3 double crochets and now work into the singles at the base here. So here's 1, 2, and 3. So what we have is like these interlocking, almost like stair step stitches that nestle into each other. I just love how this works up because it's kind of deceptive, right? It's a little tricky to see at first how these stitches come together, but it's way easier than it looks. So I did my chain 3. I'm going to skip these 3 double crochet, find my next 1, 2, 3 stitches to work into. Again, going around the chain, pulling up a nice tall loop. Once I catch that stitch, so I insert, yarn over, pull up that loop. So I'm physically lifting my hook away from my work to make sure I have a nice tall loop for this stitch. Pull up the loop. Perfect. Chain 3. Skip these 3 double crochets and find my next space here. So I'm going to repeat this around. Join me at the end of the round. We'll wrap up together and then start the next round together. I am nearly done with this round. Just another double crochet to place here. Chain 3, keeping those chains nice and loose. And now I'm ready to join. So this time I'm going to insert into my stitch. So remember, we're not starting with this chain 2 here. We're going right into this double crochet. I'm going to insert. And now I'm ready to change to my blue. Now throughout, we're going to be carrying these colors up with us. So do not cut any of these colors until instructed in the pattern, okay? So throughout the entire body of our project, we're going to carry these yarns up with us. So now I'm going to slip stitch with my blue, chain 2, and again, I'm turning my work. And we're going to jump right back into that same stitch pattern. I'm just going to yank this cream yarn down, make sure that connection is nice and tight. Where'd you go? There you are. Awesome. Okay, now jumping right back into that stitch pattern, right? So I've got my space here, getting all these extra loops out the way. I've got my space here. I've got my 1, 2, 3 double crochets, which is what I'm working into now. I'm going to double in that first one. Again, pulling up a nice tall loop, keeping everything nice and loose and comfortable, working around that chain space. Chain 3, skip 3. So I'm skipping these 3 cream stitches and then jumping into these 3 brown stitches. 1, there's 2, and 3. Chain 3, keeping it loose, and continue around. So just like before, we're going to continue working around with our 3 colors. Now I want you to join me at the end of this round. I'm going to show you how we're just going to lift our brown for our next color change, and then we'll talk through how to work the remainder of the body. All right, so I made it to the end of my row. I'm going to do my chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Insert into that first double crochet of the round, just making sure I don't have any tails in the way. Insert into that stitch. I'm going to drop my blue, And now I'm going to grab my brown. Now remember, the brown is already attached to the work, so there's nothing extra we need to do. It's right here, already attached, and I'm just going to bring it up and gently lay it over my hook and pull through these loops for a slip stitch. It's very important that you gently pull that up. We don't want to tug this yarn. Just gently bring it up. And now again with the chain 2, we'll turn our work, pull that blue just to make sure we've got a nice tight connection here, and then jump right back into our stitch pattern. So I'm going into these cream stitches just under this chain space, working around the chain and keeping my tension soft, keeping it nice and loose. So this way we can change color regularly without having a ton of ends to weave in, which I know is a sigh of relief for a lot of us. So what we're doing now is what's called floating the yarn up the work. So it's going to create these little lengths of yarn on the inside of our project as we continue to lift it up. So when we lift up the next blue row, that is going to lift. When we lift up the next cream row, it's going to create a little float here. So I'm going to continue working around, and you should as well. And you're going to do that until you have 40 total rounds. Now, this brown round right after your base counts as round 1. So this would be round 2 with the cream. This is round 3 with the blue. So if we take a look at our sample, let's see what that count looks like. So this brown round here is 1. Here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, and then you'll do a brown round for 40. When you finish this round on 40, do not change color. We're going to continue to another round of brown. So continue on until you have your 40 total rounds. I'll join you back here and we'll do round 41 together. Alrighty friends, I made a bit more progress on my sample here. Just one more double crochet to go. I'm going to chain 3 and join in the top of this double crochet, and I'm going to call that 40 rows for me. Okay, so at this point, once you finish row 40, I'm going to lay down my brown, and I'm actually going to fasten off my other 2 colors. So leaving a tail long enough to weave in later, I'm just going to clip both of those yarns. We are done working with those for this project. So I'm continuing with my brown, which is still attached. I'm going to chain 2 and turn my work. So now we need to do a row that will essentially fill in all of these spaces and give us a nice even top here before we move on to the handles of our bag. So I did my chain 2, and now I need to work my 3 double crochets around the chain here. So just continuing in the pattern at this point. But now, instead of a chain 3 and skipping these stitches, I'm actually going to single crochet in each of these. So finding the 2 loops at the top, here's 1 single, there's 2, and 3. And we're going to repeat that around. So 3 doubles around this chain, working into the tops of these stitches below. 1, 2, and 3. And then when I get to these 3 double crochets, each one is going to get a single crochet. So there's 1, 2, and 3. One more time together, 3 doubles here, working into the tops of these stitches, making sure I grab both of those loops. There's 1, 2, and 3. And then single in each of these 3 doubles right here, catching both of those loops at the top. There's 2 and 3. So you can see how we're getting a nice even row across the top. Isn't that so cool? Well, I love crochet. So we're going to continue this all the way around and finish with a join. Join me when you get to the end of the round. We'll finish up together, and then we'll talk about what we're doing with the handles. Nearing the end of my round here, I've got a double going here and then a single in each of these 3 stitches. And we're going to finish up with a slip stitch in the first double crochet of the round, which is here. Remember that chain 2 does not count as a stitch. So we're finding the top of this double crochet, inserting under the 2 loops of that stitch, and pull through for a slip stitch. At this point, we do want to fasten off. So we fastened off all of our colors. And this is what we have so far. Yours, again, is bigger than mine, but here's what it looks like. So at this point, we're ready to move on to the handles. Next, we'll move on to the setup for the handles. So as you can see, I've moved on to the full-size sample and I took the handles off of the one that I had so we can do the handles together. Now I've got a few locking stitch markers. We're going to need 4 total. There we go, just a few markers. And now we're meant to find the center 17 stitches of our bag. And you might be thinking, Toni, how am I supposed to do that? Let me show you a very sneaky little way to do it, okay? So first things first, you want to lay your bag flat. Make sure it is completely flat and in half, that it's not like kind of like off center or anything. So lay your bag completely flat. Next step, we're going to bring the ends together like this, and we're going to pinch here in the middle. Now, when I open that up, this is my center group, okay? So now we're going to count on either side of this. So this is 3. We add 6 to that. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So these are our 15 center stitches. So if we count 1 over on each side, these are our center 17 stitches. Nice little trick. Okay, so now we need to trace these stitches up to find the center 17 stitches on this top row here. So if I trace up from this white stitch here, here's a brown stitch. Right above that is this stitch here. So I'm going to, well, let me just put a little, I'm going to put my tapestry needle in here just so I don't lose this one. There we go. So now I can mark this stitch with a locking stitch marker. And on the other side, if I trace up from this white stitch, here's the brown stitch and the brown above that, I can then mark that stitch. Okay, so now I have my center 17 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. So I've got those. Now, without rustling this at all, I'm going to flip it to the other side and essentially do the same exact thing. Fold it in half, grab the middle. This is my center group of 3. Go over once, twice, and then grab the stitch on either side of that, trace it up, and trace that up. So again, I'm going to grab my tapestry needle just to make sure I don't lose it on this side. Grab a marker. So I'm going to grab this teal one, mark this stitch, and grab this orange one. I can take out my marker, or my tapestry needle, and mark that stitch. Okay, so that's pretty much all there is to it. You can give it a count. I've got the 1st and 17th stitch marked on either side of my bag, and now I can start my handles. So I'm continuing with my brown color, and I'm going into row 1. I'm going to join with a standing single crochet in the stitch of marker 1. So for me, since I'm right-handed working in this direction, this is my marker 1, and I'm going to be working around to marker 2 here. So I'm going to join with a standing single crochet, still with my 5mm hook. So first step is to make a slip knot. I'm going to place that on my hook, and then I'm going to join in this marked stitch. And here's how I do it. I'm holding on to the loop that's on my hook so it doesn't roll around on me. I'm going to insert into that stitch, still holding on to the loop, yarn over and pull up a loop, still holding on to that loop. I've got 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, and then pull through those 2 loops. So that is what's called a standing single crochet. Now, if you don't know how to do a standing single crochet, or if you're having a little trouble with it, you can also, without a slip knot, insert your hook into that marked stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, chain 1, and single crochet into that same stitch if you want to. Now, I prefer to do a standing stitch because it's just a lot cleaner, but either way works. It is not going to be so obvious which join technique you used. So I'm joining with a standing single crochet, just like that. From here, we're going to single crochet in each stitch up to and including the stitch of marker 2, and then turn our work. And at that point, we should have 36 stitches. So let's see. Here's my first, and I'm working all the way over to my marker. Just placing a single crochet in each stitch. It's very soothing, very simple. So working around up to and including this marked stitch. So now I'm going to place a single crochet in that orange stitch. So best case scenario, we did our count properly. We should have 36 single crochets. So take a moment and count your stitches. Join me back here. We'll do rows 2 through 4 of this top part 1 of the handle together. Alrighty, I'm keeping the faith that your count turned out right. Let's tighten down a little bit. Let's get a little more cozy, me and you. Okay, so from here, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and we're going to work in single crochets across. So just across the stitches that we just made. We're not going to work any additional single crochets along the top of our bag. So it's just a chain 1, turn our work, and we're going to single crochet in each stitch across to where this row started. Almost there. Couple more single crochets. And there we go. So we're just working over the stitches that we're creating here in part 1. So that is row 2. Rows 3 and 4 are just single crocheting across again. So we're going to work row 3 with the right side facing, row 4 with the wrong side facing, and then we can fasten off after that last row. So just chain 1 like I've done already, single crochet across for row 3, chain 1 and single crochet across for row 4, and then fasten off. Join me back here and we'll talk through part 2. Alrighty, darlings, we are back. You know what? Let me have you back up a little bit. Let me have you back up. There we go. Okay, almost done. So this is my 4th row for part 1. And at this point, I am going to fasten off, lifting that loop up and out, and I can take out markers 1 and 2. So we're all done with part 1. And it essentially just elongates the top a little bit here. Don't worry, that's not all the elongation that we're about to do. Now we're going to go over to part 2, which is essentially a repeat of this, but on this side. So we've got these 2 markers. I've got my teal marker and my orange marker. My teal marker is marker 3, and my orange marker is marker 4. So if we take a look at part 2, it says repeat part 1 with the right side facing and join with a standing single crochet in the stitch of marker 3, single crochet up to and including the stitch of marker 4. And we're going to repeat those 4 rows that we put on this side. So go ahead and put your 4 rows of single crochet here and then join me back here for part 3 of the handles. All right, lovelies, I'm just on these last few stitches of part 2. And when I finish this section, unlike section 1, I am not going to fasten off. So I'm just going to continue from here. So this is essentially what we have, right? Just a little bit of an extension of both sides to make sure we'll be able to fit our hand in here once we've got the handle on. Now let's move on to part 3. So with so the color's still attached, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and single crochet in each stitch across. So working from here, just like we did before, working in single crochet across. Alrighty, so almost to the end of these stitches. So we've single crocheted all the way across, and now it says to chain 25. So we're going to chain 25 just with nice even tension, not too tight, not too loose. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Nice. Now we're going to skip these center stitches, and then we're going to single across the stitches made in part 1. So jumping in right here. So skipping these center stitches, jumping in here, we're going to single crochet across all of these stitches. So just starting with a single crochet right in that first stitch, and then single crochet in each stitch across to the next open section. Okay, worked through all of those. And now, once again, we're going to chain 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, almost there, 21, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Awesome. Okay, and now we're going to join with a slip stitch in the first single crochet of the round, which means that we're going to skip all of these center stitches and jump right back into our first stitch here. So inserting under the top 2 loops of that first single crochet and join with a slip stitch. Beautiful. So that is round 1 of part 3. Let's move on to round 2. So we're going to chain 1, single crochet in each single crochet around. So starting with the stitch here at the base of the chain. So come a little closer. It's a little tricky with this textured yarn. But right here at the base, the same place that we joined, we're going right down into that same stitch and work a single crochet and then single crochet all the way around. Okay, so I worked across the single crochets so far of that first bit, and now you're like, okay, Toni, I'm at this chain space. What am I supposed to do? So we're just going to place 1 single crochet in each of these chains. So starting with this first one right here, I'm going to try and get under 2 loops of that chain and just place a single crochet there, right? And we're just going to single crochet in each chain across. And that's how we're going to start building up our handle. All right, so we're going to single crochet in each chain across, single crochet in each stitch here, and then again, single crochet in each chain across here. And we're going to join in the top of the first single crochet of our round, and that'll complete round 2. Then for rounds 3 through 5, we're going to do that again. So for round 3, we'll single crochet around, round 4, we single crochet around, round 5, we single crochet around. Join me back here for round 6 and we'll start that one together. Here we go, friends, finishing up round 5. I did put a little stitch marker here just to remind myself where this row ends. You can use stitch markers for whatever you need at any point, so don't feel like you have to save them or have to struggle, really. So we're going to finish up with a slip stitch in this first single crochet of the round, and that finishes round 5. Now for round 6, we're not going to start with a chain 1. Instead, we're going to jump right into slip stitching. So we already slip stitched in this first single crochet of the round. We're now going to move into the next one. So just insert, yarn over, pull through the stitch and through the loop that's on your hook. And the reason that we do this is just to put a nice clean edge on the top of the work. This also will help the top of the bag not overstretch, because slip stitches have a lot less yarn in them, so they don't stretch quite as much. So you can see it just puts a nice clean edge on the top of our work. So we're just going to slip stitch all the way around, and take your time with this, right? We don't want our slip stitches to be too tight because things could pucker here at the top of our work, and we don't want that to happen. So I'm really applying very little tension to my yarn. I'm making sure I have plenty of my working yarn, plenty of slack there, and just very easily pulling through for my slip stitches. So you do the same on yours, just slip stitch in each stitch around. Join me at the end. We'll finish this round together and we'll move on to the 4th and final part of our handles. Alrighty, friends, I made it back to the beginning of my bag, so I'm going to fasten this off. Pull that loop up and out, and I'm just going to go ahead and weave in this end now so I don't have to worry about it later. I'm just going to thread that onto my tapestry needle, and I'm just going to go under 2 loops of that next slip stitch here and just pull that through, and then through the back loop of the stitch right next to it, pull that through, and that gives me just a really clean join here, really nice and clean and flat. So I'm just going to go to the back of my bag and weave that under a few stitches. One of the nice things about this fuzzy yarn is that you can barely see where one strand starts and the other one ends, and it makes it very, very easy to hide your tails. Just snap that off. Alrighty, perfect. So now we've gone through the effort of putting a slip stitch here at the top of the bag, which looks so beautiful, but now we have kind of these wonky looking handle openings. So we're going to go ahead and address that. And essentially, we're going to bring this towards us, kind of flipping it around to this side. And working on this side of handles first, we're gonna join kind of in the middle of the handle here. You do not have to be exact here. We're just gonna grab a spot and we're going to join with a slip stitch in the center. So we're just gonna poke our hook here at the base of one of those chains, pull up the loop, and we're gonna slip stitch in each stitch along the bottom here. Just slip stitch all the way across, keeping it relatively loose, placing one slip stitch in the base of each of these chains here. And now we're at some row ends here, so we're gonna slip stitch in each of these row ends as well. So I'm just working kind of around this stitch to give me a little anchor. This does not have to be exact, but you just kind of want to work evenly around this handle opening. And now working in the top of these stitches here at the top of the bag, we're just going to slip stitch in each of these stitches as well. Alrighty, I've made it around to the end. And at the end of this, we're just going to fasten off, and we can weave in that end just like we did the last one. I'm gonna grab my tapestry needle. I just like to take care of the slip stitch ends as soon as possible. Just makes it a little bit easier. Where's your tail? There it is. So again, going under both loops of this next slip stitch here. And then just under the back loop of the slip stitch we just created. And again, it just creates a nice clean seam. This is called the invisible join. And you can do that with just about any stitch that is worked in the round like that. Weave in that end. Fabulous. Might as well weave this one in while we're here. Work it in as you go, and then it's not so tedious at the end. But I mean, we're basically at the end. So why not do it now? Snip. So satisfying. And look at that. It just cleans it up. It adds that extra level of polish and makes it look so very nice. And now we're going to repeat it on the other side. Join me at the end and let's admire our work together. All right, lovelies. I just snipped off the last end and we have our beautiful bag complete. Oh, I can't believe it. It's so stinking cute. I love this thing. So last step, of course, is always finishing. So weave in all of your ends. I think I got most of them. I probably have a tail or two here to take care of, but weave in your ends. Make sure they go into a like color. So weave your brown into your brown, blue into blue, and so on. And then you'll want to steam block your project if you want to, right? You don't have to, but if you want to. What steam blocking does is it softens up the fibers, it evens out the stitches, and it just makes everything look all polished, like you just ironed it or something. And I think this looks perfectly fine. So like I wouldn't be too pressed to steam block this, but you absolutely could. Now for the handles, right, they're a little bit curly, but look, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stretch them things out a little bit to even out. And as you use it, all of this is gonna soften up on its own, right? Now you can steam it a little bit, but that top edge will probably still curl a little bit, which is totally fine. No big deal. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. I cannot wait to fill this up with books and snacks and sunglasses and all kinds of cute stuff. So if you enjoyed making this project as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you, make sure you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel. Please share your projects on Ravelry, look for the Gloria Tote Bag, and you can share it on Instagram by tagging me at TL Yarn Crafts. Otherwise, I am so excited that we got to do this project together and I can't wait to do another one. So I will see you in the next tutorial. Thanks so much, y'all. Bye.